countries today, there are millions more men than women, and it's quietly reshaping who gets married and who doesn't. Imagine living in a country where finding a partner isn't just difficult, it's almost impossible. Not because of personality, not because of money, but simply because there aren't enough men or women to go around. In 2026, this is not a theory, it's reality. And it's quietly reshaping relationships, dating, and the future of marriage itself. So the real question is, what happens to society when the balance between men and women starts to break? For most of human history, the number of men and women in society stayed relatively balanced. This natural balance made marriage and relationships predictable. Most people eventually found a partner, started a family, and followed a familiar path. But today that balance is changing, and in some places, it's changing fast. In countries like China and India, there are millions more men than women. In others, like parts of Europe and North America, women outnumber men in certain age groups. At first, this might seem like just a statistic, but in reality, it's a force powerful enough to reshape how people date, marry, and even think about relationships. Let's break down how gender ratios are changing the future of marriage and what it means for everyone. What are gender ratios and why do they matter? A gender ratio simply refers to the number of men compared to women in a population. A balanced ratio is close to 1-to-1. But when this balance shifts, when there are significantly more men or more women, it creates pressure in the relationship market. Think of it like supply and demand. If there are more men than women, women have more choices. If there are more women than men, men have more options. And this imbalance directly changes how people behave in dating and marriage. It influences who gets married, at what age, and even how relationships are formed. Countries with more men, the marriage squeeze. In countries where men outnumber women, a phenomenon called the marriage squeeze occurs. This means many men simply cannot find a partner no matter how hard they try. China is one of the biggest examples. Due to past policies and cultural preferences, there are millions more men than women. As a result, competition for marriage has become intense. Men are now expected to have higher income, own property, and provide financial security just to be considered. Marriage has shifted from being a social norm to a competitive achievement. And for many men, especially in rural areas, marriage is becoming increasingly out of reach. Countries with more women. A different kind of shift, on the other side, in countries where women outnumber men, the dynamics change in a completely different way. Here, men have more options, and that affects commitment. Studies have shown that in these environments, men are less likely to settle down early. Why? Because they don't have to. With more choices available, the urgency to commit decreases. This leads to delayed marriages, longer dating periods, and in some cases, fewer marriages overall. Women, on the other hand, may find themselves competing more for long-term commitment rather than just relationships. Delayed marriage is becoming the new normal. One of the biggest effects of changing gender ratios is the delay in marriage. People are getting married later than ever before. In the past, marriage in the early 20s was common. Now many people are waiting until their late 20s or even 30s. This delay isn't just about career or personal growth, it's also influenced by the dating environment. When the balance between men and women shifts, finding the right partner becomes more complicated. And so, people wait longer. The rise of alternative relationships. As traditional marriage becomes harder or less appealing, alternative relationship styles are becoming more common. Some people choose long-term partnerships without marriage. Others focus on careers and independence instead of settling down. In some cases, cross-border marriages are increasing people looking for partners in other countries where the gender balance is different. The definition of relationships is expanding, and marriage is no longer the only path. Economic pressure and marriage expectations. Gender imbalance also affects the economic side of relationships. In male-heavy societies, men often face pressure to become financially stable before marriage. This means better jobs, higher salaries, and owning assets like a house. Marriage becomes not just emotional, but economic. In contrast, in female-heavy societies, women often invest more in education and careers, increasing their independence. This reduces the need to rely on marriage for financial security. As a result, the entire purpose of marriage begins to shift. Technology and dating apps are amplifying the effect. Modern dating apps have made gender imbalances even more visible. On many platforms, there are significantly more men than women. This creates intense competition, where a small percentage of users receive most of the attention. It changes behavior, and people become more selective, more cautious, and sometimes less committed. Technology didn't create the imbalance, but it has amplified its impact on relationships. Social and psychological impacts. The effects aren't just economic or social, they are deeply personal. In regions with too many men, loneliness and social frustration are increasing. Men who struggle to find partners may feel isolated or left behind. In regions with more women, there can be pressure to meet higher standards or compete for commitment. These imbalances affect mental health, self-esteem, and overall happiness. Marriage is not just a social institution, it's deeply connected to human well-being. Governments are starting to pay attention. Some governments are now recognizing the long-term risks of gender imbalance. Policies are being introduced to promote gender equality, support families, and stabilize population trends. In some countries, incentives are being offered to encourage marriage and childbirth. Because the reality is simple. When fewer people marry and have children, it affects the entire economy, from workforce growth to social stability. What does the future of marriage look like? So what happens next? The future of marriage is likely to look very different from the past. Marriage may become less universal but more intentional. People will marry later, to choose partners more carefully and prioritize compatibility over tradition. In some places, marriage rates may decline. In others, the competition for marriage may increase even further. But one thing is clear, gender ratios will continue to shape how relationships form and evolve. For something as personal as love and marriage, it's easy to think it's all about emotions and choice. But behind the scenes, powerful forces like population balance are quietly shaping those choices. In 2026, the future of marriage is no longer just about finding the right person. It's about navigating a world where the numbers themselves are changing the rules. And as these changes continue, the way we think about relationships, commitment, and family will never be the same again. If you found this topic interesting, make sure to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments. Do you think marriage is becoming harder or just different? What makes this trend so important is that it's still evolving. Gender ratios are not fixed. They shift with migration, policy, and time, which raises a bigger question: which countries will feel the biggest impact next? And how will that reshape the future of marriage globally?